Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. You guessed it by the title. This is another TPS is Ending, episode 3 in this series. But in this video, we're not going to discuss any options. What I do want to discuss is I want to pose you a question, and I want to share a scenario so that you can answer or think about that question. And that is, does one size fit all, or should one size fit all? Okay, you might be wondering, Andre, what do you mean by that question? Well, here's what I want you to consider. Now, we all know that TPS is designated by a country. And when TPS ends, it ends. There is no disputing that. That is a fact. But I want you to consider the following scenario. Because within the individuals who hold TPS, you have a range in age and number of years of individuals who have been here. So let's take, for example, a individual who entered the United States at the age of 2, 3, or even younger with their parent. And let's say that parent filed for asylum. And let's say the asylum application for that parent was denied, but the child is also on that application, and the child subsequently also is given a removal order as well. Fast forward a little bit, country conditions in that individual's country are such that the United States issues a designation for that country, and TPS is granted to those citizens of that country. And in the example that I'm giving, it includes the minor child. Fast forward, the same minor child is in the United States several years, doesn't have recollection of their birth country, doesn't speak the language, has no connection at all, has gone to high school throughout school, including high school throughout their years in the United States, graduates from high school. In some cases, that child, who's now a young adult, may or may not even know whether or not they do have a removal order. In some cases, they believe that they are a part of the very fabric of the country and community that they live in. And fast forward, throughout the years, they're renewing their TPS, not fully understanding what all that means, right? And fast forward, they learn they have an order of removal. Why? Because they were a dependent or an applicant child on their parents' application for asylum, and they now have an order of removal. In that scenario, this person has been here for many years. This person has grown up in the US. In that regard, it's very similarly to some of the DACA holders. Now, in the case of a child who has a removal order, and I do want to share with you guys, there are many children in removal proceedings, even though we know they didn't walk across the border, it's certainly an adult who is bringing the child, right? And then you have the other type of TPS holder, and that is someone who did come to the country as an adult and maybe went through removal proceedings and has a deportation order. And in that case, the person, because of TPS, has renewed their TPS, but have built a life in the United States through bonds, through birth of children, through acquiring assets, working, and have built a life. Now, question. In the first instance with the minor child who was brought here with the parent and ended up with the removal order because the relief sought in immigration court was denied, versus the adult who came over and stayed and was aware of this is a temporary status, but still built a life. Do you consider or believe that one size should fit in both instances? I want you to think about that. I also want to add that a couple of months ago on our channel, we published a video, and the title was something along the lines of, "When it ends, it ends. Temporary status is not permanent status." And so many of you have commented that, and that is a factual statement. And so in that video, I shared, now that was 4 or 5 months ago, guys. I shared at that time, I said now was the time, if not yesterday. Let's fast forward, we're now in December. It is beyond absolutely the time for TPS holders to start planning, whatever planning looks like for that individual, if there are no options available to them. And as I shared with you, this TPS is Ending series is to share information with you guys and your loved ones, because during this time period, even if someone is considering, you know what, self-deportation or voluntary departure, and I've shared with you in the video we published recently, some individuals, that may be their only option, or it might be their best option. And why is that? Because everyone's immigration history is so unique to them. And again, I will state one of the biggest takeaways, certainly at this time, but it is something to always consider. Having the most amount of information enables an individual to make the best informed decision for their situation, which is why in our TPS is Ending series, episode 2, I made the video referencing the comment with regards to self-deportation. Some people will elect that option, and for some individuals, depending on their situation, it may be the best option for them. And with that being said, I always recommend to you guys to work and speak with a licensed immigration attorney. You want to know your options. You want to know the consequences of whatever decision that you make. And so, guys, this video was just for general information purposes. It's a conversation. And again, I leave the question that I posed at the beginning of the video with you. You are the triers of fact, if I were to say, if this were a court and you were the judge or the jury, you are the triers of fact. Consider that question with the two scenarios that I shared with you, and sound off in the comments and tell me, does that change your perspective? If you had a perspective that one size fits all, everybody leave, even if there are options that one could exercise, I want to hear your opinions in the comments. And of course, I do thank you all for watching. And of course, I invite you guys to join the family. I will include a snippet of the video that we published a couple of months ago that I referenced in this video. And guys, be well, be safe, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey everyone. This video, if I had to give it a title, would be "When TPS Ends, It Is Going to End." And what I mean by that is, at some point in time, TPS, whether it ends at the effective date following the 60 days of the Federal Registry, or any dates that a court order restores TPS to, it is highly likely that the current administration will not be redesignating or extending TPS for many of the countries who have already been designated for TPS. So when it ends, it ends. So what should you be doing right now if you are a TPS holder and notice has been issued that the country designation for your country of birth has ended? You need to start preparing. Guys, I cannot stress that here in Florida, there are many individual TPS holders, and many individuals have not really come to a full realization that it is highly likely that temporary protective status will no longer be a form of status that they will hold. And temporary is just that. It is temporary.